Today we're going to be looking at some rookies who have been put on notice over the last 24 hours. We're going to look at their prospect profiles, how they're valuing right now in rookie drafts, Dynasty Fantasy Football, and everything else. Before we dig in, though, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're looking at this rookie draft class every day. We're looking at these rookies every day to help you out with your rookie drafts, figure out the values, what you want to do, so you can get the analysis you need to make your decisions. Click that button, stop missing out. We're starting off with Cam Ward. Had a big day yesterday at his pro day. The thing about Cam Ward is, prior to the pro day, prior to that day even, it was kind of like the market was quiet. Like nothing was rumbling about Cam Ward. Maybe a little bit with the big time media, but I don't pay attention to that. I kind of just scroll around, look for like what people are saying and everything else like that. And I like to look at spreadsheets. I like to look at tools and data and watch tape, and I don't really listen to what people say. Cam Ward, though, was getting a lot of buzz throughout the day. A lot of buzz. People were getting excited about Cam Ward. It was Cam Ward day. We get to the pro day. We look good. Of course, we should look good. You should make pitch and catch look like pitch and catch. Everything looking good for Cam Ward. We get there at the pro day. The big thing is, it's evident. We're the first pick off the board. We're going to the Titans. Titans, this is your new quarterback. And what can we say about this? This is an upgrade over Will Levis. Easy. Easy upgrade over Will Levis. He's better than Kenny Pickett. He's better than that draft class. When you look at last year's draft class, how would he fit in? Caleb Williams is better. Jaden Daniels is better. By how much, though? By a bit, but not tremendous amount to the point where you say Cam Ward can't play in the league. You look at Bo Nix. That should be like the litmus test. What I like about Cam Ward in his collegiate career, fast mental processor, sprays it downfield. Bo Nix, different type of quarterback. However, when I look at Cam Ward and what Bo Nix did at the college level, Bo Nix probably just went to the right situation for him. I like Cam Ward's game. I like what he did throughout his collegiate career because we were barely even recruited coming out of high school. We make it happen, though, and we just kept leveling up. We just kept finding new challenges, and every time we found a new challenge, we did well. We have a 67.2% completion rate, 4,300 yards, 39 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Not making a lot of mistakes. A 9.8 ADOT with a wide receiver that runs at 4.83. That being said, that's okay. That's not a tremendously low ADOT. We got 7, 7, 8.2, 9.2. So we can push it downfield, but we push it all over the field. You go watch the tape, throwing from different arm angles, off platform, downfield, short field. He reads defense as well. Fast middle processor, like I said, has experience. Has been in the college game for quite some time, building up that experience, developing. We're ready for the NFL game. It might take some time to develop, and maybe the biggest issue with Cam Ward is the Titans, because honestly, I don't know how they're going to build around them. It's going to take them some time. The free agency class of wide receivers zapped up. The NFL draft at wide receivers not so great, especially you can't burn a first-round pick on a wide receiver right now, and there's where the talent lies. So it's going to take some time, and we're looking at where he threw the ball at. Short to intermediate, over the middle, kind of makes sense when you think about Rester Pro and company at Miami. Then you go to Washington State. He likes to attack the middle. He likes to attack that Mike linebacker. He likes to attack those seams. He likes to push it up there. That's okay. We see different charts from different quarterbacks, so it's not like it's a abnormal thing. Usually the middle is pretty tapped up by the quarterback. Usually is when we're looking at that. A little bit to the side, to the left, to the right. Maybe some quarterbacks a little bit more deep. But honestly, when you start seeing the red box more below 10 yards, that's when you get a little bit nervous. However, you're looking at a quarterback here that pushes it around, sprays it around. Cam Ward is being mock draft as the 1 overall. The top quarterback off the board, the top player off the board. This is the Tennessee Titans' new quarterback. From what we saw yesterday, had a long dinner with the Titans, kept dapping up the Titans. Cam Ward is the Titans' new quarterback. That's just what it is. It was the Cam Ward party yesterday. However, it was not the Xavier Restrepo party. It just was not. We did a video on that. You probably already saw that. And he ran a 4.83 40-yard dash. There's guys that are well in the 300-pound range that are faster than him when it comes to the 40 time. Honestly, it just does not compute with the tape from what we saw. At least 4.6 guy, 4.5 guy, not the fastest guy. You're not going to confuse him with an Xavier Worthy. However, when you post a time like that, that raises a lot of questions. Like, one, why did you run? Did you even train for this? Because you look at the start of the 40, those feet are just still in place chopping. Like, we're not getting out of those blocks. We ran it a couple of times. Why did we run this? Why did we do this? Did you just mess it up? Did you just fail it? Why did you run in the first place if you're not hitting top times anyways? Because this is not a competitive wide receiver class. This is not a top tier class. You do not need to do this if you're not running in the 4.4s or low 4.5s. When we're looking at Restrepo, this is going to kill stock. One way or another, he's going to be a day 3 guy. And it might be a late day 3 guy. Maybe earlier than expected on day 3. It's hard to sell him for a 3rd round pick right now. Getting drafted in the 3rd round. When it comes to dynasty value, are you really going to go after a wide receiver like this? Coming out of high school, ranked as the 65th best athlete in the class. Ran a 4.58 40-yard dash at the opening. Usually you want to look at track times. They're easier to compute. However, 4.58 40-yard dash at the opening, laser time there. So again, when you're adjusting, that's a big variance for a 40-yard dash. Like, you'll see changes. Like, sometimes you'll see a guy run a 4.6, 4.7 at the opening back in the day, and they'd run a 4.3. You'll see things like that. But you're looking at the offers here. Air Force, Boston College, Brown, Cornell. Ranked 65th among the athletes in 2020. We go to Miami. You probably shouldn't even went there. Probably should have went somewhere else. But we go to the year. We make it happen. We make it happen. We're there for a long time. We're an older prospect. It took some time for us to develop, get on the field, and be productive. We can catch the ball. We're good out of the slots. We can create separation. You don't need to be tremendously fast in that role in the right team. That's something to look at. A.Y is 11.3 in 2024, 11.1 in 2022, 13.6 in 2021. So we can get downfield and command targets out of that role. Yards after the catch per reception, not too great. Not too great. That's the indicator of that 4.83. I mean, you look at the tape, and you know he's not, like, dreadfully slow. But there's little clues there, too. There's some plays on his tape. And I was just going back to some highlights because I was very, very curious. And there's just some balls coming his way where they're nice grabs. But honestly, he's making the plays look harder than what they should be, especially at the catch point. That's something to look into there. We can rack up the stats. But the draft capital is not going to be there. And we want to see how far he's going to fall in the draft. If the NFL takes him day 2, that's going to be a very interesting complex to sort out. Again, we're going running back all day, every day in this draft class and rookie draft. So it doesn't really matter, and we'll just sift through the value at wide receiver as it comes. But even the mock drafters prior to this, they were dropping him lower and lower. They had him in the 3rd round. He's probably going to go lower than this soon. He probably is. But however, most mock drafts don't go past like the 2nd round. Don't really go past the 1st round. So it's not really a true market to gauge, but guessing what we saw today, there's not many NFL teams that are going to pull the trigger on day 2 on a 4.83 40-yard dash unless there's a reason for it. Kyle Williams got some buzz yesterday. Got a lot of buzz. Runs a 4.4. Got decent size adjusted speed score at almost 70th percentile. 19.1 breakout age, 5'11", 190. He's twitched up. He creates separation. He's very assertive, attacks the ball. And the thing about this, Chris Sims released his rankings. And the interesting thing about Chris Sims' rankings here, he always does some funny business with his rankings. Last year, he tried to do that on us. And I don't think he's really analyzing these wide receivers. If you really look at this, he takes like the consensus and just does a little switch. And you just see the tendencies here. It's like a pattern here. He brought up Brian Thomas Jr. and moved down Marvin Harrison Jr. to get some buzz and get some clicks. However, that was correct, especially year 1. And honestly, the Brian Thomas Jr. hype train with people in the know was pretty high, so that wasn't huge. Roman Wilson up, but Roman Wilson was considered a first-round pick after the Senior Bowl because there's a lot of Senior Bowl zealots who go to the Senior Bowl and they overvalue what they see there due to the Senior Bowl effect. We get to the next year here, Michael Wilson, wide receiver 4, Jalen Hyatt. Honestly, not like the deepest class, so when you bring guys up, that's kind of like, there's not much to play with here. But then we get to 2022. This is where we kind of see the flips start happening again. Alec Pierce, wide receiver 3. Treylon Burks, first-round draft capital. Hey, Drake London down. The flips. 2021, Dahami Brown. Good profile, actually. Very twitched up wide receiver, but not really over Jalen Waddle. And that makes sense. We're just flipping a little bit in the rankings here. Now we're going to 2020. Henry Ruggs, he was a first rounder, but KJ Hamler right after him ahead of T. Higgins. What? Again, it got a little bit here in the rankings, just flipping them up a little bit. Then we get to 2019. Paris Campbell right there, right? Marquise Hollywood Brown, Deebo Samuel, AJ. It's a pattern. It's a pattern for clicks. Kyle Williams right now, when we're looking at him, is enough to be a clickbait magnet. There is some things in his prospect profile to look at. He was not heavily recruited coming out of high school. Barely got any offers. We get to UNLV, though. Somewhat productive. Decent market share-wise. We go to Washington State. Remember, we're playing with some good quarterbacks here. Ward, who we just talked about, and Mateer, who's went to Oklahoma, who's leveling up too. Quarterbacks at Washington State are leveling up at other programs. That being said, he's played with 2 good quarterbacks there. But we're looking at ADOT here, 11.5, 10.8, 10.5, 11.9. We can get downfield. We're built like a slot receiver. We're twitched up a little bit. Right situation, you may want to look at him. Draft capital-wise, you may want to pay attention to him. Is he a great wide receiver? Is he a sound wide receiver? One thing, we're older. At the Senior Bowl, when you look at his 1v1s, wasn't too bad. His tape's not bad. He got 14 touchdowns last year, 1,100 yards. Yards after the catch per reception, 8.4. It's respectable, not grandiose. 2.71 yards per route ran. That's fine. Looking at where they're mock drafting him at as a late rounder, that's kind of what you would think about him as a wide receiver, but a guy to pay attention to. But he is getting some buzz. Not many people talking about him. Bringing up that profile here. Older wide receiver prospect. Twitched up a little bit. Might surprise us, but still. Running back in our rookie draft. But T-Mac, if you want to go wide receiver, you better pay up for it. After that, you're taking gambles with this class. But if you want to take that gamble at wide receiver, a first rounder here that has a very good prospect profile. A lot of people are leaning away from him. A lot of people are being a little tepid right now. But that's just part of the process with a lot of these top players. But he's got a strong profile here. 23 offers coming out of high school. Big-time programs after him. Ranked as a top 5 wide receiver in the class in 2022. 6'4", 185. Played in some big camps. Was a big-time recruit coming out of high school. We were productive right off the rip. 702 yards in 2022 as a freshman, 8 touchdowns, a good market share of the passing production. We knew something was there. That is what you want to see from your top prospects. Production off the rip. That's what you got here at Arizona. 1,400 yards the next year, 10 touchdowns, 1,300 yards the year after, 8 touchdowns. And when you look at where he excels, and we're talking ADOT, look at those. 13.7, 12.9, 16.2. Targets deep downfield. So he profiles like a Drake London, Mike Evans-esque wide receiver. You push him downfield, you throw it up, YOLO style. So honestly, he's got to have a quarterback with some cojones. He's got to have a quarterback that will push it to him even when he's covered, because when he's contested, he can still bring it home. That's his game. That's how he plays. Overall, he has the chance to be a good wide receiver too. Maybe more upside in the right situation, or if he develops into more. But you're looking at a wide receiver here that has a good profile that could give you something, and we're going to have that first-round draft capital. He ain't falling out the first round. He might fall a little bit in the first round. Everybody's trying to speculate because there's a lot of good edge rushers and offensive line in the first round that teams could gravitate to. Tyler Warren's going to get overdrafted a little bit in this year's draft. That's going to push things down a little bit. It could be an interesting spot here where he goes in the draft Maybe he goes to a team like Dallas. They need something at wide receiver. This could be an impact for them if he falls to them. There's a lot of spots where he could go. I don't see him really just falling into no man's land. We've been watching him for a couple years as Devy gamers, waiting for him to come out. And that's an indicator that you got a wide receiver with some promise and upside here. And they got him 9th overall, mock draft database on average mock drafts. The market sentiment saying, hey, that's a first rounder. He's not falling too much. He's not falling in many mock drafts unless somebody's mock drafting for a fit instead of trying to guess the draft or guess where players should go, but they're mock drafting for fit if they're pushing him down a mock draft. There's multiple ways you can do a mock draft. I play it video game style, and I say it when I do it, and I'm the only person that does that. When I do a mock draft on the channel, Montrell Johnson. I want to talk about Monty, and I think I've talked about him before, but decent numbers at the combine, good size, adjusted athleticism, probably going to be a late round pick, a late rounder in your rookie draft. So we can't always talk about the easy guys. We want to make it hard. We want to look at some of the guys that are floating a little bit under the radar. But look at the yards after contact per attempt every year. Above 3, above 3.5 in 2023. On top of that, in 2024, 593 yards, 817, 841, 838. You had some injuries mixed in there. But still, we're looking at a running back here. When you watch the tape, he's explosive up the gut, has a good approach to the line of scrimmage, good contact balance, could be a good grinder, could be a guy that climbs the depth chart, or if injuries happen mid-season, could surprise you for a few games, hold it down for his NFL team. And we're looking at the scouting report for NFL.com, and honestly, it matches kind of what I'm seeing on the tape too. Good vision, not like the sexiest running back. He's not going to be like the greatest guy on tape. He's not going to be a guy that you're salivating to get, but a good meat and potatoes guy up the gut, a good meat and potatoes running back between the tackles, and get you a little bit after contact. That's very physical, that gets low at contact. This is a guy that runs below his pads, and on top of that, you're looking at a guy here in the later rounds in the right situation, maybe good draft capital or whatever situation, that could climb a depth chart to maybe his like RB3 range, RB2 range, somewhere around there, and all it takes is one injury. And we're due for more injuries at the NFL level. October to the end of November, we saw barely any injuries at the running back position. So it's going to feel like an increase of injuries once it ramps up back to average, because it was below average last year and the year before. That being said, you might see a guy like this pop off for you. Mock drafters are looking at him as a UDFA. Might be pushing for that. I think any other draft class, he'd be pushing like 5th, 6th round. And that might be the case this year too, because the running backs will get zapped up 4th roundish, and now you're just picking your guy. And this could be your team's guy, or he could be landing in the right situation 6th round, hanging out on a depth chart for a couple years. You got him on your taxi squad for a year or so, and you're just waiting to see how things shake out. But good size adjusted athleticism, good vision, good approach to the line of scrimmage, has some goods to where he can climb a depth chart or be functional if injuries happen. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.